love to ask you, in Canada, is it easy to get job or it's very hard?
I feel like it's dependent on a couple of factors. So when I was in university, I worked part-time, and for the most of the times I worked part-time on campus, and then there was once that I worked off campus. In the context of university, the jobs are fairly competitive, but I feel like it made it easier because the school was already providing different opportunities for students to work. So that meant that like I could easily go to a certain portal, see the different jobs that were available, and then I could apply. And then when you're on campus, like those jobs will vary. Sometimes, like, you know, you'll work in the library, or you'll work like in student housing, or you'll be, you know, what is it called, like you'll help your professor, so you can be like a research assistant or something like that. So those jobs vary, but I feel like that gives more access. On the flip side, getting jobs off campus, I feel like I saw many students who also applied for jobs off campus. The good thing about Canada is that you work a certain number of hours. Like when school is in session, you're allowed legally to work, I believe it's 20 hours, but when school is not in session, you can work an unlimited number of hours. So that means at least like in the summer when school is out of session, you're like getting like work, and then you're like adding to your savings. In terms of actually finding those jobs off campus, there are many people who are eager to employ students, and that will likely be like in the service sector or in the retail sector. A lot of people that I know worked like that, or maybe in smaller like colleges. Yeah, like sometimes, you know, they want like campus coordinators or stuff like that. You are able to like work outside campus. Beyond campus though, finding work, I will say it's a mixed bag. My experience like job hunting after I finished university was not the easiest.
Oh, it was hard.
Yes, it was difficult, and let's bear in mind that I was a good student. I had a scholarship when I was in university. I also got different awards. I did internships when school was out. Like I would also like work and do internships. So in terms of like I'd put in work, and even with that, finding work was difficult.
So how long did it take for you to get a job?
It took about 5-6 months. It took me a while, yeah. It took me a while to be able to find work, and so I think that's definitely something to bear in mind. In one of the streams that people can come to Canada, you can get employment before you get there, so then it's like sponsored by like the person who's employed you, and I think that's a good like if somebody can be able to do that,
that one is much better than you being in Canada looking for a job.
Yeah, I feel like if you are to like somehow, let's say somehow you manage to go through the whole process and get into the country without a job, I think that's kind of risky unless you have a lot of savings. And remember what I said about it being expensive. What your money used to take you through like when you're at home, it will get eaten very quickly when you're in Canada. So
because life in Canada is very expensive.
Exactly. So if I would advise, I would say like try and have a plan before you go there, because kupata kazi si easy. Like it's not like immediate and
so like if you are in school and you are out, which one is more better for you to get a job? If you are in school,
what do you mean?
Like if you are in school, so you work like 20 hours that time that you are in school. Is it easy to get job, or when you are done with school?
I found, well, when I was in school, like I said, because I was applying to like jobs on campus, it was much easier for me to get. Like hakuna time that nili apply. Of course, you'll apply to a couple of jobs, like several ones, but there's no one time I said at each semester I'll work and I didn't have work. Yeah, each time when I was like, okay, this semester I'll work, I was able to find work. Whereas when I graduated, I was like, oh, like I have a good CV, I have good grades, it should be easy to find work. It was not as easy.
Wow.
Yeah, and I also had to wait for my work permit. So also think about like the legal bits. Mtu anaweza taka kupatia job lakini gava bado haija process work permit yako. Exactly. Now you're in that waiting period, waiting for the government to process your work permit, that now you can go to the employer and be like, oh, here is my work permit.
So that you can actually get a job.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was your experience like making friends with people there?
I will say it was also a mixed bag. Of course, I went now when I was in school, and now in school you're within the confines of like other students, which means like you're forced to kind of like make friends, because all the other students want friends. Exactly. Yeah. I was a little bit older than the students who were like first years, because I had to like, you know, take time to apply to scholarships, and that took like some time. And so when I went to school, I was older than other first years. So it made like making friends a little bit trickier. But I eventually was able to find friends. I remember when I was applying, I really wanted to go to a school where the students intermingled and they didn't self-segregate. So utapata pengine hapa there's, you know, an Asian person, a black person, a white person, and that kind of a thing. But the funny thing is, when I went to school and I ended up with like my friend group, I found that I myself had inadvertently self-segregated, because like 80% of my friends were African.
Oh.
Yeah, I just ended up with other Africans, but I feel like that maybe might have been a consequence of my school, because there's many international students. People ended up just staying in their own groups. So the Latino students would stay by themselves, the black ones by themselves. I mean, every so often there's like intermingling, but when I looked at like the friend groups around me, they were almost homogeneously one dominant group. Moving out of university, like I said, I moved to a new city, but I moved to a new city in the pandemic. Guys, moving to a new city in the pandemic. I needed to do it, but it was tough, because to make friends when you're in a pandemic and places are locked down is very hard, because people are not going outside, you're not going outside, you can't meet people, you can't hang out. So that was tricky, but I was fortunate that I was able to get like a handful, just from like, you know, ukiona mse kwa building unamwongelesha kidogo, ukiona mse kwa coffee shop unajaribu kumwongelesha, so like you try like a little bit more. So I was able to make like kidogo friends, and now like I'm hoping to like continue growing that. What I'll say is that it takes a lot of initiative. We mwenyewe lazima ujitolee, we onda mwenyewe, you go and ukajitume, and then you also try to like make plans, because one thing I found though, like it's so frequent in the culture that msi atasema, hey, by the way, we gotta hang out, tuta hang out, and then it never happens. So like so many times, like it's a thing that people, and I've heard from other like of my friends who are like African diaspora, wanasema niaje huko, wase wanasema let's hang out, let's do something, and then it never happens. Yeah, so based off that, I found that you always have to kind of take that extra step to try and make those friendships. Okay. Yeah.
So thanks guys, please kindly subscribe, comment, like and share. See you on my next video. Love you guys. Nimambia watu subscribe.
Subscribe ni hapa ama ni hapa. Like, comment, subscribe. Keep watching her fabulous videos. I think they are really informative. Keep supporting her as well, and definitely look out for some of the resources that I mentioned in the video.
Thank you guys. Bye.